There we go. Lovely. Let's have a look over here. Now there's 1, 2. Where's number 3? Try and get a spot. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go down. You can just have a look at you hiding in the bushes. Can you see him just here to the right, Craig? There's one right next to us. Let's have a look to this one right next to us on the right-hand side. Here we go. Hello, boy. This looks like Mfumo, I think. It's very difficult to see, though. But it has a very swollen face. Or is it Tinyo? I can't tell the difference anymore. But I did see a big gash on his right eye, and I know that he had an injury. Yes, I think that this is Mfumo that we are looking at. I could be mistaken, though. And I don't know which boys are here. I'm trying to see. I can see one more. Where is the third one? Let me ask Mike. Mike, where's the third Birmingham? Yeah? Yeah? Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you very much. They're just trying to work out where they all are. Let's have a quick look around here. I'm actually going to go off-road very quickly, just so we can quickly get to grips as to who we are dealing with. Okay, now I see the third Birmingham. Hi, boys. Long time no see, gentlemen. Here we've got another one. Now, I don't know who that one is, because I can't see the face at the moment. Now, hello, Vanessa. Vanessa from LA, you're wondering if it's true that brunette male lions are more dominant. Not necessarily. Not all lions carry that dark mane gene. You often see blonde male lions. I actually saw quite a few blonde male lions in Zambia. So typically the Kalahari male lions are notorious for having those dark black manes, which are beautiful. And in the animal kingdom, darker colorations is typically an indication of increased testosterone, which then, of course, that's the more testosterone you have, the more bigger and stronger you can get, of course, when you're in the animal kingdom. So that's what they say. And we see it a lot with giraffe. I think are the best ones to display as to how dominant they get when they almost go black in color. But lions, it varies slightly. The Birminghams don't particularly have the darkest manes, but they are still quite young. And I saw the same thing happen with the Charleston males, where when we first started seeing the Charleston boys, which sort of move around the southern sector of the Sabi Sand, right far south, and near the Paul Kruger Gate, and they were also quite scraggly. They reminded me a lot of the Birminghams. They were quite small, they didn't really have big manes, their manes were quite blonde. And then, in a year and a half, they completely transformed. They muscled up. They doubled in size, not sort of just in weight. They got nice and muscly, which was good. And then their manes just started to grow. And over the tops of their shoulders, right down to the tips of their elbows. And then both of their manes went completely black. Now, they're starting to go slightly darker. I think Nsuku has got the darkest mane. And then, okay, so that I'm not sure who this one is that we're looking at, but on the left we can see there's a male lion that's now standing up. That looks like Tinyo, just from, I can see the hair missing on his shoulder, and he seems to be the Birmingham that gets plagued by mange the most, and we suspect that he was the culprit of passing mange onto the Styx pride, but he's now eating grass at the moment. And they look thin too. As he's standing there, you can sort of just see his hips starting to show now. They do need to eat a meal. Look at that. Molly, now you're wondering when was the last time that I saw the Birmingham boys? The last time that I saw all three together, was a sighting on Arathusa we had with them one morning. We weren't able to spend much time with them, but we'd managed to find them, and that was Nana, Mfumo, and Tinyo. And Tinyo is the one that we're looking at the moment. So that was Mfumo that we saw, the first lion we saw under the tree. Now we'll just have to figure out who the third one is. Sure, I can't. Molly, do you know that I actually can't even remember? It definitely a few weeks ago. It wasn't any time recently. You know what? We went out one day and we did tests during the middle of the day, just testing the signals on the vehicles, which we do quite often. And I bumped into the Birmingham, 2 of them. I think it was Tayla and Mfumo at Spaghetti Junction near Chele Pan. So that was the last time, but that wasn't while we were live though, and I didn't really stay with them at all. They were fast asleep, so I let them carry on with their slumber. So I'm ecstatic to see these guys again. I'm really enjoying the Birminghams. I love the fact that they look like real male lions covered in scars. Miles, now this is a really cool question, and I've got lots of stories to tell you about this, so now you're in trouble. But Miles, you've said, has any lions ever wandered into camp? So from the stories that I've heard around camp, they have indeed been in the car park. They definitely walk past and through camp, past the game drive vehicles quite often, but I haven't seen them in where we sort of stay, thank goodness, because the way that the whole camp is sort of set out is that we've got a rectangle of rooms and a kitchen, and then like a middle courtyard, a big open courtyard. And if the lions were to come into that, and perhaps you were getting up to use the facilities at night, you'd find yourself in a lot of trouble, because those animals would find themselves sort of quite confined, and they'd feel trapped and a bit claustrophobic. So that wouldn't be good. And lions also not scared. The big cats, maybe even Cheetah I've seen walking through narrow corridors. Let's actually follow this boy as he moves along. So I'm gonna head there. Because we will stay with him. So Miles, no, they haven't directly been in camp. We have a Janet that's harassing us at the moment in camp. I have seen many lions on foot at night in the lodges, and we had the Charleston males kill a kudu outside room number 4 at Earth Lodge, and we actually discovered them. We were down at the dam looking at hippos, and Eve, one of the other female rangers, looked back up, and she'd seen these male lions sitting on the roof of this luxury suite, and they came down off of the roof. We discovered that they killed a kudu right outside the room. Luckily it wasn't occupied, it was empty. They then used the plunge pool at Earth Lodge as their personal watering hole, and also were laying on the nice cold floor. So they stayed around there for a few days. But yes, I've bumped into entire prides of lions. I've bumped into the whole southern pride, walking guests back to their rooms late at night, and then coming back on my own, bumped into the Charleston males. And I've seen the Charleston pride, which is an adult lioness, 2 sub-adults, and then there's a juvenile male that's about 4 years old or so that sort of follows them around too. So most guides have had many encounters at night with lions on the pathways. Like I said, they're not afraid to come around human habitation. They're always coming to investigate. Not that they're coming to look for you to eat you or anything along those lines. It's just that they'll pass through, they'll drink from the swimming pools. I'm sure there's lots of strange scents and smells. And touch wood, I actually haven't ever had a bad encounter of lions on the pathway before, which has been pleasant. I'm quite thankful for that. We've had interesting elephant encounters on pathways. So I'm so happy that these... Oh, here we go. Hang on, let me reposition quickly, Craig. This looks like Nana. Let's see if it is. But both boys are up now. Let's have a close look on his face. He should have, on the top of his nostrils, 2 lines. Yes, Nana, my favorite Birmingham. Hello, beautiful. He's a gorgeous lion. They are looking a bit shaggy, though. They do look like they could eat. Not particularly full bellies. And here comes the scarred Mfumo. He always seems to be in the wharves, this boy. Ever since I've known him, I've never known him to have a clear face. Always a swollen muzzle and cuts under his eyes. And remember, he had that big gaping hole from the maggots that had unfortunately got inside of his face, the myiasis. But he's a real grisly-looking lion. This is cool. Okay, let's reposition once more. I'm so glad at least we got them up and doing a little bit. You know, there's honestly nothing worse than lions sleeping. And then to have lions sleeping in the very long grass makes it even more difficult to spot them. But now that they've all cuddled up quite nicely, this is perfect. This is wonderful. And I'm glad I've got to see my Nana again. Now, Larry, you're wondering who named... Now, settle, boys. Drama queens, sit over here. It's okay. Nena's always a little bit more nervous. I don't know why with the vehicles. Every time you start and stop, he's the only one that lifts his head up and sort of looks at you. We'll just give him a bit of room. But he's also the most beautiful, in my opinion, out of the 4 Birminghams. So sorry, Lyra, you were wondering who names these lions. So typically, the male coalitions of lions, or even if it's just one male lion that's left an area on his own, they'll get their names from the farm that they've come from. So a lot of these big wilderness areas used to be made up of smaller farms that people would own. So for instance, Lisbon, the Toulon property, the Birmingham farm, which is up in the Timbavati, and that's where these boys have come from. So typically they'll take on the name of the farm, where they're from, and then what we've done now with the Birminghams as well is we've given them each an individual name. So like I said, we've got Mfumo, Tenyo, and Nena over here. And just because they're so different from each other, I think that they are definitely deserving of their own names. They used to be numbered 1 to 4. But I think that, which is good, it's a great way to start off. But I'm very happy that these boys have now got their own names. But this is very cool. I'm so happy to see them again. And they probably are just going to rest now. I think that they've been moving around quite a bit. I didn't hear lions last night, but Craig said he heard them calling. So they must have come from somewhere. Or they joined up. Hang on. Let me just think about this for a moment. This was about a week ago, or maybe even less than a week ago. I think they had 3 Birmingham boys in Little Gowrie. So perhaps they've still just been together. But every now and then I see sets of 2 walking up and down the roads, and then, not too far away you'll find another set, which is, I think, it can be a great strategy as to what these Birminghams do, but it also can be a not so great strategy. But by splitting up the coalition like they often do, they're obviously able to occupy more land, more territories. The only thing is that when big coalitions come in, other males come in to potentially investigate and see if there's a spot that they can take over. If you've got Nena, who normally lives with Nsuku down on the northeastern corner of the Sabi Sand, you'll find that he's not going to be able to take on 4 male lions, but if they're all together, they can definitely take on another coalition quite easily. So it's a tough thing, but they seem to make it work. You often see him, I think Mfumo gets a hiding, whether it's from his brothers or not, I'm not sure. We don't often get to see the fights, but we have seen Tinyo and Mfumo fighting before. Brent had an incredible sighting, the 2 of them arguing over females. But they're not going anywhere, and neither are we. We're going to sit here for a little bit longer with these boys, and I'm going to send you across to James, who has found himself a reptile. We are indeed still with them, and they've decided that now it's a good time to sleep, and the day has indeed warmed up a sufficient amount, so I don't blame them for using the shade of the squarry tree. It seems to be a great spot that they've got at the moment. Now, I was just thinking about when we used to see the Birminghams quite regularly, as well as the Nguhumas. And in the last few months, I don't think that they've changed too much. I thought that their manes would have gotten much darker. But it seems as though these boys are not going to be proper black-maned lions, and that's okay. They've got a bit of darkness coming through, especially around the chest, and there seems to be a streak between the ears. But other than that, their manes are quite sort of blonde and bleached from the sun. But like I said, to have a dark mane doesn't necessarily mean that you're not a dominant male, because clearly these 4 boys are. Well, I know that Nsuku's not here, but we'll include him as well, is because they sort of roam over quite a massive territory. And I know James was going through the various prides and coalitions and their sort of areas that they move around in. And the Birminghams, they do quite a big property. I mean, they do the whole of Djuma, they do Arathusa, they do Cheetah Plains, they do Little Gowrie, Annette's, Hoffman's, Chitwa, Torchwood, Nkoro. I mean, it's a huge area. It's basically most of this northern area. And I was looking the other day on one of the Panthera documents that we were sent. And it's the most amazing thing, because we receive all this information as to where the various leopards and lions move around in. So every time we see one of these big cats, that data is recorded, and you can see how many times in 1 month, a certain individual or a coalition or a pride were seen, and where they were seen. They're all GPS marked. So like for instance today, they'll put the sighting in, though they would probably put it in at Sydney's Dam, because that's where they were originally found. And I was looking, and there are very few other lions up top this side, other than occasionally the Matimbas popping through. I don't really know who else would come here. And the Talalas, those young males in the Talala pride. Now, Brian, you've asked if different lion prides will ever go to war against each other. The females can be quite aggressive towards each other too. So if two different prides of lionesses come through, there'll definitely be a big argument and they'll fight about it. But typically the fights are done between the males. The biggest competition comes through when new males move into an area. And like I said, there are lots and lots of young boys out here. For instance, I'm waiting for the Eastern Bank Pride to make their route around here. They're a coalition of 5 male lions, young boys, and they've come from Kruger. And they are venturing in around Kirkman's Camp, around Lion Sands, and even encroaching onto Sabi, so I presume a bit of Mala Mala too. And as you know, we're not too far away from Mala Mala, even though it's a massive property, and they seem to be coming in from the southern sector of the Sand River. It's not to say that they won't move up here, so we're just going to have to wait and see. But if a big coalition of males comes through, and again, if they're all separated, if the one Birmingham is here, another Birmingham is here, and the other one's in the far east, they'll come through and they have no problem. They will kill one Birmingham on their own, and eventually they'll get taken out one by one. Sort of what happened with the Mapojos. That type of thing tends to happen if they don't stay together. They run the risk of younger males and more of them coming in and completely snatching up their territory right underneath them. But let's hope that that doesn't happen, and I think we will be okay for a couple of years, because these boys have really just come into reign now, and I think that they've still got a bit of time to go. But again, you never know what might happen. Somebody could come in from the northern Kruger, from the Manuleti, and push through. Now, we've been chatting a lot about various lions, and Alyssa, you've asked if we get white lions around here. Not quite here, but to say it's not impossible, but there's a pride of lions called the Shish Pride, which occurs around Satara, and specifically around the S100, if any of you know Kruger. And they've got a couple of lions in there. And then I think there's a pride called the Mountain Pride, which is towards the Lobombo Mountains. They also have a couple of young white lions. So they do occur, and even from here, Satara is not that far, especially for male lions to move around in. And for any of these animals, really, they can travel a massive distance in such a short space of time. So you never quite know, like I said, what's going to happen. We obviously can just keep tabs of various prides and coalitions of lions that are moving around in the areas, and try and follow them and see where they're sort of going to pop out again. But one night we could just there could be a whole lot of commotion. Like I say, there could be new boys on the block that could come through and wipe the Birminghams out. They're not particularly big lions either in terms of body size. The Charleston male lions are much larger than these two, and even there was a lion named, he was called the Kruger National Park male, the KMP boy. He lived on his own. He actually at one point was the dominant male lion down in the southern sands around Sabi, and then there was another boy called Solo. It was also a beautiful big male lion, and the two of them actually ended up joining forces quite late in life, which is quite interesting. But that's what's so fun about the dynamics of the animals out here, is that we can only read so much, but depending on the area and the circumstances, their behavior changes to suit their surroundings. These boys are not going to go anywhere. I'm hoping that they'll stay here for this afternoon. I'm going to try and go and find some elephants now. I heard some trumpets a moment ago, but